Before we started dating, I was very clear that I will not marry a Muslim. They are discrediting, they are invalidating and trivializing the entire harassment episode that I went through. Along with acknowledging your privilege, you also decide what to do with your privilege.
You're listening to the Quint's podcast.
biwi razi, but interfaith marriages in India? Not so easy. Our guest today knows this too well. You're listening to News and Views, the Quint's podcast series where we introduce you to some of the greatest minds across different fields through in-depth interviews. I'm Maitri Ramesh, and today we are going to be talking to Athira Sujatha. Athira moved the Supreme Court challenging provisions of the Special Marriages Act that made it mandatory for publishing personal information of interfaith couples 30 days before their wedding. India's apex court refused to entertain her petition. But what made her move the Supreme Court? How do interfaith couples react to the times that we live in today? She talks about all this and more. But before we jump in, you can check out the episodes of News and Views and all the other podcasts by the Quint on our website or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for joining us on the show today, Athira.
Thank you, Maitri, for having me.
So you were in news recently, and how would you describe what happened in the Supreme Court? And what was your first reaction to it?
What happened in Supreme Court was definitely disappointing, but not something that I did not expect. It would have been a bonus if the Supreme Court had even heard the case, but they didn't. In a way, I'm actually happy that there was some sort of there was some sort of decision that has come, because all this while, like, I applied for the writ petition in 2020, but now that the Supreme Court has basically said that, oh, this person is not a aggrieved party, so it does not make any, the petition does not make any sense, makes me also feel more confident to understand what my next step should be, and I can actually regroup with my team and then re-strategize on how I'm planning to go about with it.
So this provision under the Special Marriages Act, it's actually a roadblock for many couples like you.
Yes,
But I just
yes.
want to understand, what made you actually move the Supreme Court in the first place?
Shamim and I started dating 2006, right? So, and we were very clear that we would want to get married only after our parents are also bought into this idea. So we waited, and once we were financially independent, we had much more confidence to basically go to our parents and present this to them. And my parents, after they met Shamim, they were completely fine with us going ahead with it. So, and this is like the most beautiful moments that we are supposed to enjoy, right? And when we applied to the register office under the Special Marriage Act, and even the officer told us that we have to get a resident certificate from the village office, we went to the village office, where the village officer on my face asked me if I have eloped and come, when he saw that the names of the couples were basically from different religions. And I'm like, yeah, 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 of course, along with my father, I eloped, because my father was right there. I mean, they just assume that there is no blessings from the parents, which is usually the case, and or they just assume that, oh, these naive women are basically being trapped by Muslim men, and they will be converted, and they are basically going to be taken to Syria. All those things. That's how generally the society perceives any interfaith couple or interfaith relationship to be.
Actually, Adira, I want to go back a little bit. And, I'm a sucker for love stories. And one of the posts that, I really loved was your post on the India Love Project, where, you talk about how you and Shamim met in 2006. And, one part where I really found it cute was that you said we knew immediately that we liked each other, but, we waited. So what was that wait like? I mean, as much as we want to talk about everything, that was a challenge for you, I think we would really want our listeners to also know that how interfaith relationships are like any other relationships.
Yeah, I mean, see, we met and then we got talking, and there was a sense of comfort, right? Like that's what we both felt in the relationship. Like we both were just very at ease. It was very effortless, you know.
But did the fact that you were a practicing Hindu and him being a Muslim, did that ever
Yeah.
feature in your conversation before you started dating?
Before we started dating, I mean, before I knew about Shamim, I was very clear that I will not marry a Muslim or anyone from any other religion, okay. Because we have one cousin who got married to a Muslim, and we've seen them living very happily and all that. But somewhere in it was just instilled in us that, oh, don't, you should not get married to a person from another religion. Look at, the kind of tension the parents would be having, etc. But after meeting Shamim, I was somehow that religion as a factor just disappeared. But probably it was there in the back of my mind, because of which we did not really acknowledge that we both were in love for a very long time.
That's very cute. So, what had changed by the time you decided to talk marriage, or you decided, okay, now is the time, maybe we can consider settling down?
we Shamim and I both had a lot of empathy for our parents also, because we really wanted to ensure that our parents are also very comfortable with this, and wholeheartedly, and not because they are forced. I think it was only in 2016, 2017 that I became financially independent. And that's when we decided, okay, we will now take this to parents. They knew for sure, but they were also trying to understand how serious I was about this. And so I think they were also waiting when I'm going to present to them. And when I did, they were like, of course, we want to meet Shamim. And they met Shamim. And after that, Shamim is their, it's as if, Shamim is their son and I am the daughter in law. That really worked. Once they met him, they were very confident. Otherwise, parents were also worried, oh my God, will there be religious conversion? His parents were also worried, considering the state of our country right now. Even his parents were worried, right? If there will be conversion and ghar wapasi and all those things. And my parents were also worried. But once the parents met each other, we realized that, none of the all these worries were misplaced.
Unfortunately, you are also a victim of the targeting over, what is notoriously called love jihad in these times. Can you take us through what exactly happened when you went to the registrar office, and then when they decided to publish your details on their notice board?
Sure. So, see, after we submitted our application in the registrar office, I think 2 weeks later, Shamim got a notification on Facebook saying that, hi, a photo that is very similar to your face has been uploaded on Facebook. Would you like yourself to get tagged to it? Facebook has that feature. So when Shami went and looked at that notification, he saw our application along with 120 other applications uploaded by a person who sits out of US, and he's a doctor. So we were like, okay, what is happening? So the post read that, okay, love jihad is rampant in Kerala. In last 1 month, 120 couples across Kerala have registered under Special Marriage Act. Now these women will be transported to Syria, where they will be rearing goats, and they will be, sex slaves for the jihadi soldiers. So it went on like that. So then me and my friends reported the post, and Facebook immediately pulled it down, and they probably realized that, okay, their posts are getting reported. So then the same post started getting posted by several other handles. Most of them were Hindu right wingers. And we kept on reporting those posts, and then they moved this conversation to WhatsApp. um,
Once something is on WhatsApp, then nobody has control over how
Nobody has control, right? Yeah. And then few weeks later, my mom gets a forward of the same thing that talks about how we should go to these girls homes, because obviously in the application our addresses are there, right? It's such, imagine, it's such a violation of our privacy. Your home address, what the work that you're doing, your photograph, everything is there on the application, and that is what has been going viral. So they were making strategies about how we should be visiting these girls, naive Hindu sisters, quote, homes, and educate their parents, maybe because the parents are not aware of this marriages. So we should educate their parents and ensure that we rescue these girls from the traps of good-looking Muslim young men. That was the message. So my mom basically forwarded this to me and said that, probably you should take it to the police. And I said, yeah, I will take it. I will handle it. And see, I did not want to spoil the mood of my wedding because I was pretty thrilled. I was planning A to Z of the wedding. We thought, we'll just let the wedding happen. So the register marriage happened on 21st of December, and then we did a reception for very close friends and family on December 26th of 2019. And then COVID hit, right, and the world changed. And then after, I think, close to 6 months, the chief minister, the Kerala's chief minister's daughter, also got married to a politician who was also a Muslim. And I don't know why, I was just curious to see if the handles that posted about special marriage act, right, and about love jihad, I was curious to see what they were posting about chief minister's daughter getting married to a Muslim. So I went to these profiles and I checked, and they were spewing the same venom about how this is like a calculated effort, and how this is also love jihad, etc.
So this could just happen to anybody. It
Yeah,
doesn't
and
matter.
yeah, exactly. Now you are assuming that the chief minister's family will probably will not have to go through these, but then you get to know that no one is spared from this. And that's when I decided to write about my experience. Initially, I was thinking that the photographs were being taken from the notice board of the register office, where the applications are pinned for 30 days, because some of the photos did look like that. When I wrote this post, couple of interfaith couples, reached out to me saying that most of the photographs that were uploaded were taken from the registration website of Kerala government. So then, when we went to the Kerala government website, we realized that all these applications were getting uploaded to the website as part of the digitization initiative of the government. Little did the government also know that these kind of extreme groups would actually use it to their advantage and download the application. So
Did you actually expect this kind of backlash when you first reached the registrar office, or after all these events that followed as well?
yeah, see, I always expect backlash for everything, but I was actually thinking that maybe there will be general conversations about love jihad, but little did I know that your applications are going to get leaked. Right, that was not something that I expected at all. So once I
And when it happened, what was your first reaction? Was it to like fight mode, or like you said earlier, did you say like, I just want to get married now, I'll think about this later?
Yeah, of course, you have your bout of anxieties coming in and going, thinking what is going to happen. Shamim and I were actually worried about our parents' safety, because we don't want these groups to basically march to our parents' homes and then create a scene there.
So before I interrupted you, you were talking about how the Kerala government website is one of the places where these informations were being taken from by the trolls, if I may call them so, online.
Yeah.
And I remember in 2020 you wrote a post about this, and a lot of other interfaith couples also reached out to you. So what was the Kerala government's reaction? And and in response to that, they also took down what they were doing.
I wrote a post tagging the concerned minister, Sri Sudhakaran sir, and asked him about what are they going to do about it. And I think a couple of people saw the post, and a lot of people obviously shared my post as well. And few people shared it with his office, and then they reached out saying that this was not their intention, and they were doing this as part of digitization, and that they are sending a notice to they're basically sending a notice to NIC to ensure that no longer the applications will be should get uploaded. So I think the entire decision came in under a week after I posted, which I thought was amazing, right? Like the fact that the government understands that there was a loophole, and the fact that they were ready to immediately fix it. I think that is commendable.
So after this, the COVID happened, and then you decided to move the Supreme Court. What did your petition seek basically?
See, so after basically this applications being uploaded to the website, clause was removed, I realized that um, there are also applications that gets uploaded to social media which are basically photos taken from the registration offices. So that's when I realized that the very clause under special marriage act that talks about having a 30-day notice period where your application is put on the notice board for anyone and everyone to raise an objection, I thought was very discriminatory and also a violation to your privacy, because your entire address and everything is just published out there, and I don't think it is okay.
So, Athira, I just want to read out what the Supreme Court has said with regard to your petition in one line. They said that if it is your personal cause, it ceases to be a PIL. But I think there is enough data, enough anecdotal references to say otherwise. So, what were your reactions on the Supreme Court's, decision?
Yeah, I mean, see, when the Supreme Court is saying that I'm not an aggrieved party, they are discrediting, they are invalidating and trivializing the entire harassment episode that I went through. Because, there were graphic rape threats, there were cyberbullying, there were a lot of things that I went through. And I had filed the writ petition in 2020. When the Supreme Court is hearing it in 2022 and they are just saying that I'm not an aggrieved party, is it my mistake that they did not hear the petition in last 2 years? How can this just assume that, oh, because your marriage is over, you are no longer an aggrieved party? That does not make any sense. So it's a very technical ground based on which the Supreme Court has denied to hear the petition. They understand that this is discriminatory. They have not said that it is not discriminatory. They've just said that I am not an aggrieved party.
So is it, I mean, as much as I agree with you that, Supreme Court should have heard it or should have at least given a chance to hear the petition, but don't you also think the legislature is equally responsible to take cognizance of whatever is happening?
They are. I think in Delhi High Court also there was a similar hearing where the Delhi High Court did ask the Ministry of Law and Order to give their explanation, and they said that the Ministry of Law and Order got back and said that the current clauses are fair. So we know what the government is thinking already, right? They feel that it is fair. The clauses are here to protect.
Have other people reached out to you after you started the petition? And, what are their stories? Are you willing to share some of them?
I have to be very honest in saying that, because we had the support from the family and we had a great ecosystem and we were financially independent and we were probably comparatively much more privileged than most of the other interfaith couples. We had it comparatively easier than the many other interfaith couple who go through really bad experiences. They have the pressure from the family, they have pressure from extremist groups. People basically find the address, go as groups to the girls homes and threaten the parents. There are a lot of things that the interfaith couples go through. So then the question that Shamim and I sat and asked is, then what do you do with the privilege, right? Like, okay, we have privilege. We probably also have a little bit of money to fight this in court. And that's how this entire petition filing in Supreme Court happened. When a lot of couples reach out to me, they talk about their parents shutting them in rooms for months, and lot of these people like priests who come and try to brainwash them, and their prime focus is basically to ensure that they are safe in a city, trying to find a job, trying to become financially stable in a new city, and they're really hoping that other couples in the future will not have to experience the same.
So, what do you also want to tell to, young couples who are in interfaith relationships? Because today we are also living in a country where, something as simple as a advertisement, that shows interfaith couple is, being called out on social media for God knows what reason.
Yeah. So, before that, I just want to talk about one more thing, right? That is, a lot of people who are throwing hate do not understand what Special Marriage Act is. The very core of Special Marriage Act is basically that you don't convert. And of course, there are people reaching out to me saying that, but you also know that there have been women who have been transported to transported as sex slaves. Of course there are, but it is not by having such a discriminatory clause under Special Marriage Act that the government should be finding a solution to it.
So, what is something that you would say to like interfaith couples who are sort of not talking marriage only because of religion?
I think love is a beautiful feeling, and having someone to love is even more beautiful. There will always be sections of the society criticizing you, coming up, with arms against you, saying that you are not, that you should be only living on the terms that they dictate.
You've said such a beautiful thing, basically love and let love. So, Athira, what next for you as well? Because, from our conversation today, I know that you're not going to back down.
Yeah, definitely not. So I am trying to find. I mean, we definitely have a couple of strategies that we are jamming about, but one would be to also find like-minded couples who can join the fight, um, and then form a group, and then decide our course of our next steps.
Thank you so much for joining us on the show, Athira. It was such a pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure is all mine, Maitri.
And that was this episode of News and Views with Athira. Follow us on Instagram at The Quint and tell us what you want us to talk about in our next episode. And don't forget to check out our website www.thequint.com for more groundbreaking reports and videos. This was Maitri Ramesh, and I'll see you next time. News and Views is a Quint original podcast, executive produced by Shelly Walia and Ritu Kapoor. This episode was hosted by Maitri Ramesh, edited and produced by Anjali Palod, and theme music by BMG Production Music. Special thanks to our guest Athira Sujatha.